In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave, and it has been posted on the bulletin boards of Township Hall.
Please stand for a moment of silence, pledge allegiance, and I would ask that you would remember our fellow Americans out in Oklahoma. I assume everybody's been looking at the television set this evening, but they really need our prayers. Daniel Kruger, our scout, would you please step forward and lead us? I take it, is that your brother who's reluctantly following? Are you ready, guys? Hand over chest, go ahead. Start us out. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, boys.
Well done, well done. Never been done better. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad. Here. Councilmember Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Douglas.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Beck.
Here. We have a number of presentations before we move down to the work session. Is Daniel Kruger here? I know you're here, Daniel. We're just up here. Come on back up here. Okay. And if his family wishes to come up. Daniel has moved from becoming a Cub Scout on his way to becoming a Boy Scout, and he has worked real hard, right? And congratulations on your hard work earning the Arrow of Light badge. Now, is that badge on you now? Where's that at? Does he have it? Or is it? It's not on his uniform yet? Okay. The highest award in Cub Scouts by a Weeblo on his way to becoming a Boy Scout. Lower Township and Pack 63 are both very proud of you on your achievements. Best of luck in your continued journey with the Boy Scouts of America. We have another young lad, Jacob Allen, who couldn't be with us this evening. And now this is Daniel's brother behind you.
Yes.
And what's his name?
Dylan.
Dylan? He's trying to hide right now. He's a Boy Scout?
Yes.
Okay. And you are Mom?
Yes.
Okay. And your name?
Kristen.
Kristen. Okay. And you, sir?
I'm his grandfather.
Grandfather. And your name?
It's Russell Hayes.
Russell Hayes. Okay. We got this coming down for you in a second here, Daniel. We just wanted to find out who's with you here. Now, did you work hard towards this? Yep. You sure did, right? And how long have you been in the Scouts? How many years? All the time, right? You were probably born into the Scouts by a local mom, so don't worry about that. Okay, we're going to give you your award. We're going to come down. Council, you wish to come down? Do you see Jacob, or do you want us to hold on to it?
I'll take it down.
And what grade is Daniel in? Fifth grade? And what's your favorite subject in school? Lunch? Science. You like science, right? You Bill and I, the science guy, right? Okay. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Turn around so they can get a picture of you with the council. Mom, Dad, come on up here. Get in the photo. The kids at school won't cut it out. There you go. There you go. Over that way. Hi, Frank. How you doing, Mr. Trying to figure out. There's a Polaroid. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Bring him back. When he gets Eagle Scout, bring him back.
Definitely. Well done.
Speaking of loving that, now go to a very, very special award. Miss Judy Sirocco, would you please stand up, please, and come up here? Judy's a very good friend, and she's also been named the 2013 Outstanding Senior of the Year by Cape May County Department of Aging and Disability Services, which is remarkable. And there's no way we were going to allow this to occur without dragging you down here and putting you on TV. And we even chipped in and got you a plaque rather than just a regular piece of paper. Whereas, and I'll read this out, whereas Judy Sirocco has been named 2013 Outstanding Senior of the Year by Cape May County Department of Aging and Disability Services, and whereas Judy and her husband Frank have been Lower Township residents for many years and take great pride in their 9 children, and whereas Judy has been a volunteer with Holy Redeemer Home Care and Hospice for the past 12 years, and donates food and clothing to families and clients in need, as well as attends Holy Redeemer Quality Assurance meetings in Cape May and Atlantic counties. And whereas Judy is known, in the words of her friends and co-workers, as an asset to the community and makes every day better for all those around her. True. And whereas within every aspect of her life, Judy has established the standard of excellence, her remarkable record of community leadership and volunteerism is one to be emulated. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Michael E. Beck, and the Township Lower Council do hereby congratulate Judy on her distinguished achievement and recognize her ability to make every day better for those around her. Judy, you're a remarkable person. We're going to come down and present this to you. How long have you been married now? I got a question.
Oh, too many years.
Too many years? Then you should have gotten an award long ago. All right? Frank, is Frank here tonight? He's hiding. You'll get the award, but you got to take Frank home with you. All right, we're going to come down now. Come on, Ken. One up here, Frank. Yeah, you know how to go up. You come up all the time anyway. Where you are? Come on. You know your way up here. That's for sure. One turn around.
You're one shot tonight.
Where are you supposed to pick it up? I'm not answering.
Okay. Kirby's done.
Happy birthday, Frank.
It's Frank's birthday? Not even half and count the ring, see how old it is.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do. I'm not sure where it's at.
Got it all ready.
Okay. I'm not sure. Can I have a right seat? Okay, next up we have police commendations. I would ask Chief Brian to step forward and introduce his honorees.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council and Manager as well. Thank you for allowing us to spend just a couple minutes with you tonight. Last week was National Police Week across the country. Thousands of communities got together, were able to support their officers in many different ways. In Washington, D.C. itself, there was a National Police Memorial. One of our own officers, David Douglas' name is on that memorial. I did have a chance to go there a few years ago and see that and just experience that. Tonight we get a chance to actually honor some of the officers that protect us every day and every night. When you and I go home tonight, our officers are out there keeping us safe. I believe we have a great police department. Our officers do a great job, and I'm just very proud to even have a chance to work with them. As a result of that, we had a chance over the past few weeks. You know, we could probably come every couple months or something, and maybe that's something in the future we'll be able to do. However, we have some extraordinary cases that we've handled where our officers have really gone above and beyond. These are some of the things that you may read about in the newspaper or hear about. But the fact is that our officers every day, whether it's just coming, helping a senior in need, getting into a house or someone that has fallen, our officers, again, every day have that chance to interact with our citizens, and I know that they are doing a great job for us. The first situation that we would like to acknowledge tonight is out of a fire call that happened on Town Bank Road in the North Cape May section. The first person to receive a accommodation tonight is Patrolman Michael Perry. His sergeant wrote up a accommodation, and I'll just read it to you. It's easier for me to put it in the words of the sergeant rather than me coming up with something on top of my head, so bear with me as I read. On March 22nd, while on patrol during shift change, you responded to a reported structure fire at a residence at 300 Town Bank Road. You, without concern for your own personal safety, entered a building that was on fire to evacuate the residents. Your quick response and decisive actions upon your arrival averted a potential loss of life. Your efforts are recognized, and you are to be accommodated for a job well done. This is for Officer Perry. Officer Perry, please come forward. Thank you. I failed to mention in the very beginning that I have two of my fine colleagues, actually officers that I work with on the command level, and that is Captain William Mastriana and Lieutenant Thomas Beebe, and they just keep, you know, we call it keep the place going. We're the ones that are doing the things day in and day out to make sure our officers have everything that they need. It's administrative positions that require a lot of technicalities. I'm just happy to have these guys with me all the way. They keep my job going easy as well. Next. The next officer we would like to recognize is that of Patrolman Ed Edwards. And this was resulting in the same call that Officer Perry went on. However, Officer Perry was able to get the people out of the house. Officer Edwards actually went in and put the fire out with the fire extinguisher from the patrol car. So to read this, on again, 322, while patrol, you responded to report a structure fire. Your quick response and decisive actions upon arrival and extinguishing the fire prevented the fire from becoming a full-blown structure fire. Your actions saved a greater loss of property and averted a possible loss of life. Your efforts are recognized, and you are to be commended for a job well done. Please come forward, Officer Edwards. The next situation actually happened on April 19th. And it's one of those calls that you hear about, you never know how it's going to end, but we are very happy tonight that we actually have the victim of the motor vehicle crash here with us. A person that, when the officers arrived on scene, was unresponsive, did not have a pulse or a heartbeat. One of our officers was actually off duty at the time and responded and assisted. We were able to get, within each of our patrol cars, we have a AED unit for the heart, and we're able to get that placed on there. And again, just so happy that the gentleman is here with us tonight, Mr. Broadneck. Glad to see you, sir. Thank you. And he'll come up in just a second, but I wanted to just give you a little background on that, and then I'll just read the actual accommodation. This one is for Patrolman Kevin Boyle. On April 19th, while patrol responded to a reported motor vehicle crash into a house, You removed the non-responsive victim from the motor vehicle, assessed his condition, and began CPR. After receiving a pulse, you replaced him into a recovery position to await rescue and a medic arrival. Upon subsequent transport to the hospital, the victim eventually made a full recovery. Your quick response and decisive actions upon your arrival averted a potential loss of life. Your efforts are recognized and you are to be commended for a job well done. Officer Boyle, please come forward. When I first described the situation to you, I told you about an off-duty officer. Yes, we work 12-hour shifts, and yes, we are off at times during the course of the day. And there are many times that I think that everyone that wears a uniform knows that when we see something, we don't just look the other way or drive by. We stop and we do the best we can to help out. And that's exactly what Officer Anthony Greto did on this particular day. To read it, on April 19th, while off duty, you reported a motor vehicle crash into a house in the vicinity of your residence. After reporting the incident, you responded before any on-duty officers were able to. You assisted in removing the person from the vehicle and performed CPR. After the subject was revived, you awaited rescue and medic and subsequent transport to the hospital, where the victim was able to make a full recovery. Your quick response and decisive actions upon your arrival averted a potential loss of life. Your efforts are recognized and are to be commended for a job well done. Officer Greto, please come forward. Please come forward. The gentleman that I described is here with us tonight, and I know that we've had the chance to speak, and I know his thankfulness as far as the situation in his family, and he wanted a chance to meet the officers that were involved with this. Officer Boyle, will you come forward again, please? We're glad, sir, to know that you're okay, and we do wish you well with everything. It's not every day we have that opportunity, that chance, but we're so glad tonight that we're able to do that. And again, just showing our officers as far as what they do in our community. At this point, I'm going to ask Captain Mastriani to talk a little bit about what is known as our CALIA program, our certification. We just went through a process, a very stringent process, and the captain was also a major part of this. I thank him for his involvement with that to ensure we got the completion. Captain?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Before we get into the next certificate recognition, I just want to give a little background about the agency. For those who may not know, Lower Township Police Department is an accredited agency. What that means is that every 3 years, an accredited law enforcement agency must have their accreditation status reassessed by the State Chiefs Commission. To receive this accreditation, Lower Township Police Department must comply with 112 standards based on police department best practices and New Jersey statutory and regulatory law. On April 28th and 29th of this year, Lower Township Police Department took part in our second on-site assessment as a part of a program to achieve reaccreditation. This was administered by the New Jersey Enforcement Accreditation Commission in conjunction with the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. The accreditation program requires agencies to comply with standards in 4 basic areas that represent the best practices in law enforcement. These standards address policies, procedures, administration, operations, and support services. As a part of our on-site assessment, agencies and employees, along with members of the community, were invited to offer comments by telephone and public information sessions, which were conducted on April 29th this year. This assessment is the first reaccreditation for the Lower Township Police Department as a part of the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. And as I can tell you, it was a very painstaking process, and we did very well. On behalf of the Lower Township Police Department and Lower Township We would like to present the certificate of recognition to Officer Jennifer Anzalone, for without her dedication and devotion to the accreditation process, we wouldn't have been able to achieve this reaccreditation. Officer Anzalone, could you come up?
That was really an incredible feat to actually attain that. Although we initially received that, there were many things we had to do, and it's something that now we will continue to do monthly, where we're updating all of our policies, rules, regulations, making sure that we're doing the best of the best as far as model police departments across the country, in particular across New Jersey. Another officer I would like to, in addition to acknowledge tonight is, again, Officer Michael Perry. Just this past week, 2 weeks ago, at the Lower Cape May Regional School District, we completed a large-scale school safety drill. We made sure we put it in the press, and you may have seen it on TV. We had well over 100 law enforcement officers and also tactical medics, SWAT teams, any type of emergency responder that you can think of. We neighbor with our Cape May City, the Coast Guard based Middle Township, and this is all about being prepared, and we do believe in that. That is really something that is so important. We always hear about it, just like we heard about Oklahoma tonight before we came here, the devastation there. And I have no doubt that they practice for these situations. That's why it's important that we realize things are possible and make sure that we go and we practice and we are ready and able to respond to any type of emergency situation. To plan a large-scale event like this, we've started way back in September, and Officer Perry's been working on this for us daily. He is our school resource officer at the high school. His job is very busy to begin with, but also he took on this additional task and made it work. I had the chance to speak with the Lower Cape May Regional School Superintendent and also the county prosecutor, who was very proud of exactly what happened there that day. They were able to come down and see that all the practice really paid off with professional response to emergency situations. So at this time, again, I'd like Officer Perry to come forward. Thank you. And again, Mayor and Council, I know that we echo in the manager as well. I know that you realize and how much you appreciate the great police department that you have, and we work together, and that will continue. But it's important to see our officers. It's great to see them out tonight. This is only just a handful. We have another group that's working. We have another group about to come on in just a few minutes. So again, we appreciate them. We remember them this National Police Week. And we say thank you. Thank you very much.
Chief, I know I speak for council when I say you and the entire department make us proud. I mean, I'm glad you did this tonight. It was rewarding to have you come up here, and the incident involving the officers, Kevin Boyle, Officer Bretto, and the gentleman who had the heart attack there, that they brought back to life. I think that's right at the core of the meaning of to serve. And, you know, I know I speak for council when I say we're very grateful for what you do, and we're very proud of our officers. And we wish you the best. You know, in case some people out here don't know, it's been released to the press that at the end of June you'll be retiring. And, you know, we'll certainly have you here before council before that, but at the same time, we're going to miss you. You've brought a good hand to that department, and I think you've done a lot of good things over there, and we appreciate what you've done. Thank you. Okey-dokey. All right. We have one more certificate of appreciation, and I am looking for Miss Denise Raymond from Genesis Healthcare. And she has Dave and Jeannie. Come on up, Miss Jeannie. You're not sitting back here. Denise, would you introduce your co-workers and their titles, because I'm not 100% sure.
Dave Kinder here is the administrator at Victoria Manor, and Jeannie Stanton is our regional director of sales and marketing with Genesis.
We have the township has had a very, very close relationship with Genesis Healthcare, and April 25th they held the health fair at the rec center, and we did 2 last year. What was the final total this year as far as people that came? Do you remember?
About 220.
And what did we have in both of the ones we did last year?
We had 110 and 75.
Okay. So we topped with this one health fair that was about 2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. We topped what both health fairs had last year. Now, they went above and beyond. Not only did you guys go out and organize this and bring in all sorts of different agencies and different facets of healthcare so that our people could come down there and go through the system. But we began to run out of things, and you went back out and brought more things in, some of the trinkets and the giveaways and all that. You take care of our people. And I mean, and for that, we're grateful. So we have a certificate of appreciation. And council, if you would come down with me, I'll read this out when we get down there. Come on up here, team. You're getting in this picture. Spin around. Our certificate of appreciation presented to Genesis Healthcare. In grateful appreciation of your outstanding service to Lower Township residents at the healthcare event April 25, 2013, your dedication to the welfare of our residents was proven by the tremendous amount of attendees and the flawless effort in which you provided service to each of them. Lower Township Mayor and Council, thank you for putting our residents' health care concerns front and center. Okay. I have to add on, I was over there today for Doreen Quinn to sing Happy Birthday, which is my 3rd year in a row singing Happy Birthday. She turned 102 today. I was hoping somebody would bring me a piece of cake. I guess that didn't happen. But in the meantime, do you have anything to say about Genesis at all, or are you okay with this? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, moving down to the work session, and I'll turn it over to Norris for the Lower Township Elementary Educational Foundation. You have it.
Mayor, we're going to invite some folks up to say a few words, but there's a story that we want to, this is a good night. Tonight we're talking about a lot of good stories and a lot of good examples of noble and good deeds in this township and good work. And this is a story about a little one-room schoolhouse that's found a really big place in our hearts as a township, because it brings together in our township 2 of the most important things we have. One is home and one is school. Families and schools. And it comes together in the one-room schoolhouse. And the story begins really with you, Mayor. It was several years ago when most of us didn't even know this school existed. It was tucked away in a little block surrounded by trees. Most people didn't know it was there. And it was starting to fall apart. And it was starting to be forgotten. And you tapped a number of people on the shoulder, including myself, Janet Pitts, Ed Butler is here tonight, John Louderback, and others that came together and formed the Friends of the Fishing Creek School. And the motto, I'd like to say, of what's been going on here is a little verse that I learned a long time ago that sort of explains all good things. The verse goes like this: Blessed are they who dream, and those who are willing to pay the price to make that dream a reality. So every great thing that's ever done in society starts with a dream, which is a combination of vision and faith. Give me the faith, the grain of the size of a mustard seed, and you can do a lot of things. But it also takes effort and work, and blessed are they who are willing to pay the price to make that dream a reality. So tonight we're going to talk about people who had a dream and people who have paid the price to make that dream a reality. And this group came before council with a vision and a dream that we could fix this one-room schoolhouse and make it part of the community once again. And the council is going to take this on. And we said at the time that what we wanted to do was make it a community center that would bring the community around for concerts and other things like that, as well as bring it back to the school system. And so we opened the door to our former elementary superintendent, Joe Cirencione, who came into the school when it was all broken down. There was not much to see there, but he saw that this represented, it took us back to a day when things were, when bullying wasn't a word we had any idea what that was in the school. And he said at that moment right there that we're going to develop and set up a early childhood education program for the township. The township didn't have one. We didn't have an outreach to the 3-year-olds in the town to help the parents that are raising these children be teachers and help these children prepare for the preschool and for the kindergarten. And so that vision was connected to the Fishing Creek School. Let's do early childhood education. So, you know, the next step was the township put a roof, and then the Friends of the Fishing Creek School raised money thanks to folks like Domino's Pizza and Maury's Piers and Janet Pitts and her family and John Lauterbach and Geisis Market and so many others. Got behind and painted that outside. Annie Salvatore put the flag up. Janet Pitts' son put the roof on the outhouse, and on and on and on. And we don't have time to thank all the folks that have done that, but they fixed up the outside, so now it looks pretty on the outside. It's a real little gem. And we found the woman who grew up in the house from the time that school was auctioned to the time that they auctioned this one-room schoolhouse in 27, and this family bought it, saved it, and they grew up in it. We found the granddaughter that grew up in that, and lo and behold, she was a landscaper. And as a landscaper, she's now on the board donating her time to re-landscape this entire one-room schoolhouse plot to make it a wonderful park for this community. So then the next step was that we applied, and this is where I'm going to say some, I wish Colleen Crippen was here, but Colleen Crippen, our grants coordinator, the deputy treasurer, got busy and put this one-room schoolhouse into consideration for a small cities grant. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was November, no, it was January of this year, we got the word, basically as we were being installed for our first session, that the small cities grant is going to give us the funds that we need to completely renovate that school, give it a bathroom that's ADA compliant, give it an access that's ADA compliant, get rid of all the lead, do everything so it's in pristine condition inside and out and ready to go for the public. So then we sat down with the man who stepped into the seat and to the shoes of Joe Cirencione, and that is George Przowski, who is now the superintendent of the elementary school system. He had been the business administrator. And he's going to come up and explain to us something called the Lower Township Elementary Educational Foundation, which is a fund that was set up to raise money for additional things that the school wants to do for our families and for our children. Things that weren't in the budget, that we wanted to do and underwrite. That was a fund they had set up. And so we decided that we're going to start raising money to, before I go any further on that, George, would you come forward first? And George Przowski is our superintendent for the Lower Township Elementary School System.
I hate to put my back toward everybody, so I guess you can hear me. I'm loud enough.
Tell us about the educational fund.
The Ed Foundation was started, it was incorporated back in 2006. And again, it was on the initiative of my predecessor, former superintendent of schools, Joseph Cirencione. And we began our fundraising in 2008. Going back to what Mr. Norris Clark said earlier, as those who work in government and schools know, the state of New Jersey, with certain requirements, financial requirements, doesn't allow the school to freely do some of the things that it would want to do. And I'm not talking illegal things, I'm talking obviously legal things. One of which is to go out and to be able to help other people. There is no source that a school can go out and do that. So Mr. Cirencione, along with the support of the Board of Education, incorporated this educational foundation. In 2008, we began fundraising in the schools. And basically what it came out to be is in the fall, some of you may be knowledgeable of that. We've been doing it for 5 years. There's a cake sale. We have a vendor. They sell cakes, pies, cookies, different things of that nature. How do we raise money? Well, we raise money, A, through that fundraiser, or B, through the generosity of various organizations and people in the community and county. What has the money gone for in the past 5 years? I can say that about $130,000 in the past 5 years has gone to feeding families in this township. That's about 400 to 500 families 4 times a year. That's about $21,000 in food. How do we do it? We go to ShopRite, we make up bags, and it's distributed voluntarily. I'm proud to say that in this organization, whoever gives toward the Ed Foundation, every single penny that is donated for food goes to food. There is no administrative cost, there is no salary cost, there is nothing deducted. If you donate $10, $10 will go to food. If you donate $1,000, $1,000 will go to food. $130,000 went to ShopRite and or different food distributors, but mainly ShopRite. Likewise, the money has gone toward different programs in the school that benefits kids, whether it was field trips, whether it was theater through the Lower Cape May Regional High School District. Different academic things were purchased for the kids. And now, happily, our early childhood program could be supplemented. We receive some money from the state of New Jersey for early childhood, but nowhere near what it takes to really do what is necessary. And a lot of times it's very formulated, and this is the way it has to be. What my predecessor did start, and we'll be entering our 3rd year, and that is our 3-year-old home visitation. We have 2 staff members that actually go into the homes, try to sit down with 3-year-old children, with their parents in preparation for preschool. So this is a happy event that I can talk about. And we have a lot of, as the mayor pointed out today, we have a disaster going on right now in Oklahoma. And periodically throughout the world, you have tsunamis, you have a lot of things. And it's important to help people, and that's great that we as a nation come together to help others. But I always side that comment with the following. You don't have to go far to help people. You can go into your own backyard and help people, because there are poor people in this town. There are people that don't have enough to eat in this town. And there are kids that come to school with no change of clothing. So there are a lot of things that you may not hear about, and I don't say it to brag, and I don't want it to be misinterpreted as that, but just to give you an information that whoever donates to the program, that all goes toward children and children programs. And we don't have to go far. And I remind our staff, it's through great contributions from our staff, from people in town, and from various organizations in our county that have been donating for the past 5 years. They have been generous. They've enabled us to be able to have this program. We continue to do this. And with your support, all this money doesn't go anywhere except to our town, to our kids and families in our town. And I'm proud to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. So the Friends of Fishing Creek School, out of the pledge and vision that we had originally to tie the school into the educational system, has now decided that this school, our friends are going to raise money into this fund to help underwrite the early childhood education program that has been sacrificially started and carried on by the school district. And staff members will go after the families and help parents become teachers for the 3-year-olds. And if they're not comfortable for us coming into the home, they'll be able to come to the Fishing Creek School. They'll also be open, the Fishing Creek School will be open for the after-school reading programs and other supplemental things. So Claudia Von Savage, who's on the board of the Fishing Creek School, Friends of Fishing Creek School, is chairing the effort to raise money for the fundraising for the Educational Foundation. And I'm going to ask her to come forward. We sent out an initial letter, and there were a number of people that immediately. You want to use that mic, Claudia?
I have to.
No, you don't have to.
Good evening, thank you. Norris asked me to come speak, and I know everyone's busy, and I don't like to speak in public, so I'll make it very brief. The main reason to come is to acknowledge those people who have contributed so far to this education fund, but Norris also asked me to speak on as a mom, and I have 4 children, and I've been pretty involved in their education. I was a homeschooler for many years. My kids have had the privilege of going to both public and private school. Mayor Beck was one of my son's most favorite teachers, and he did an excellent job, and as you can imagine. And I just wanted to speak about just very briefly, I think this is a great program. I'm kind of a latecomer to the organization, and I know it's got a lot of fine people in it, but when Norris asked me, I was intrigued and wanted to help, because I truly believe in the importance of early intervention, and that parents are the best teachers. And what I like about this program is that it does start at an early age and helps the parents teach the kids and be involved, and starts the process and sort of the discipline and the habit of being involved with the kids at an early age in their education. So I think it's a great program, and I'm excited about being able to help raise money for it. And the other thing I do like about it, and as the other gentleman was saying, I do think it respects the dignity of the families and the kids involved. I've seen firsthand some of the teachers distributing the food that goes like on weekends, and they do it in a very nice way. They put them in knapsacks, and it's very it's kind of subtle, and kids can take advantage of taking home the food, jars of peanut butter and the macaroni and cheese for the weekend. Sometimes they just, if they're not getting fed at the schools, they're not getting fed. So I like the way it's all been done, and I think this program will respect that same, the family's integrity as well. And just to end, I would want to list the people here that have contributed so far to this great fund, and among one of them is your mayor, Michael Beck, has graciously donated money. We also have John Lauterbach, who's our president. He himself has. We have Marguerite Chandler, Richmond Shrev, Eileen Kirk, Les Angst, Joe Sorrentino, Phil Kindle, John McGraw, and Gary Caduceus. And we also are having a fundraiser coming early June, and we hope to raise a lot more money. And we're getting, we have a lot of money to raise, but we're actively soliciting. And if anyone else wants to get involved, we're anxious for that too. Anything else?
Thank you, Claudia. Many of these people were writing $500 checks and promising and pledging to write that every year as an ongoing commitment to this underwriting this program. So the last piece of this is that the school, thanks to Jim Lindeman and Colleen Crippen, together one was the architect, one was the grant writer, and together they got almost $40,000 that's going to finish this thing up. And based on what we're thinking, John, maybe you can give us a report. We're looking like we're going to be able to have the doors open sometime next year. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you want to say anything else?
Well,
Forget the microphone.
well, as the chairman of the Friends of Fishing Creek School, I wanted to say that I'm, first we're very proud of the organization, and we're very much looking forward to the educational programs happening at the Fishing Creek Schoolhouse. If, by this fall, more than likely construction should begin, and we'll have, that will include a handicap accessible entrance, wheelchair lift, and a bathroom at the rear of the school. There'll be a new driveway with a handicap accessible parking area and a walkway that will also be put down. The interior of the school, that'll be reworked, so once again, it'll be suitable to house our school children. And I too would be remiss if I didn't thank Jim Lindeman and Colin Crippen, our grants coordinator, for the mountains of sketches and paperwork that I'm sure the two of them have done on behalf of Fishing Creek School in the project. Actually, it's been 87 years since, as of 2014, will be 87 years since educational programs are actually carried out in that schoolhouse. And I think it's an amazing thing that, that it'll happen again. The thing is it's come full circle. We do have a lot of, we will have various fundraisers, and we have a lot of different programs and so forth slated for this year. There'll be a lot of recreational things happening at the school. That brings me probably to my next one. One of those things, in conjunction with the rec department, that will be this fall, probably September. We will also have a family movie night at the schoolhouse. We have our summer music program set for this summer. There are flyers in the back. If you haven't already gotten one, please pick one up right by the door there. For every one of those, our first musical program with MAC will be that'll be held on June 14th, Flag Day at 6 o'clock at the Fishing Creek School grounds, basically. And there'll be two subsequent ones from there. The first one is on the 14th, like I said, Flag Day, and that will be American patriotic music. Let me see, what else did I forget that I wanted to tell you? And I guess that was about it. Thank you very much. And if anybody who wants to know more about the Fishing Creek School, you can go to fishingcreekschool.org. That tells you about our mission and what we're all about.
Thank you, John. Just one more thing, Mayor. I know you wanted a gazebo at the school, but that's going to be a little harder to get than I thought, because we need permission to have a gazebo built there by the historic folks, and right now they're not giving it to us. So they are going to have a mound where the gazebo might go someday, where you could make your.
You're going to put a chair on it and stack the dirt for me, is what you're saying. Always a victim.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's I don't know how council feels, but I'm sitting back and I'm watching this program. I am so proud of a lot of people in this town. The police that were here before and got the awards, and now this follows up with this group. And this is all good news. And it really is about people in this town, whether it's the officers or whether it's civilians, stepping forward and helping other residents in this town. The community spirit is just phenomenal, and I'm really proud of the effort that you, Norris, have put into this, and John, and all the board. And I think council would agree with that. So, thank you. Okay, move forward, guys. Thank you, Fishing Creek people and the school, and George, and you still here? If you leave, I guess he slid out. Okay, we now are moving forward to Mr. Mitch Flynn and Jim Ridgway from the rec department. They have a little presentation. This is in line with us, what we've been doing to present different departments. We've done public works, we did the code enforcement, we did, purchasing. So it's just a question of trying to open up and let people get an idea of what goes on with inside our different departments. What are you needing? A microphone?
No. In the
atmosphere if nobody using the microphone.
No, I think, wait a second, I'm not sure. The one problem we're gonna have is, you know, the camera's my concern. They may, I would prefer you use the microphone simply because I know that it's awkward sometimes, but
It's on.
if it doesn't get picked up on the television set, we'll be getting 100 calls.
Test. It's on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mitchell Plant. I'm the Superintendent of Parks and Recreation here in Lower Township. Next to me is my assistant, Jim Ridgway. We have put together a presentation for you tonight that we titled Reaching New Heights. Reaching New Heights is not where we are, but it's where we want to be. And it incorporates the ideas that we came up with and the goals that we set when we came together as a team 18 months ago. Our goal is to improve all facilities, strengthen our relationships with all community organizations, implement new programs, and make our current programs better. We have created a top 10 list exhibiting some of our department's highlights. We're going to start by discussing some recent renovations that we have completed at the Lower Township Recreation Center. We have a new and improved foyer area, a brand new fitness room with fitness equipment. You can see pictures here of our new game room, that we have televisions, video games, brand new table games, and we also did a facelift to our gymnasium. One of the things that we incorporated for better security in our facility is an ID card system, which we started about 6 months ago, which was implemented, and our recreational aid staff handled all of the data entry. And as to date, in the first 6 months of this program, we have, as of today, 1,052 members at the Recreation Center that are in our system. The next area that we're going to discuss is the Lower Township Municipal Pool, which will be opening in about a month on June 22nd and will run until Labor Day Monday. There are daily fees for non-residents that can utilize the pool, and residents can either pay a daily fee or purchase seasonal pool passes at the Lower Township Rec Center. Last season, we had over 7,500 visitors to our facility in a 10-week period. We do have on staff 2 nationally certified pool operators, and we do also offer aqua fitness program throughout the summer. Something that we're very proud of is our youth sports program. Since the beginning of the 2012-2013 school year, we have had 1,400 registered participants play in our youth sports programs. This includes football, cheerleading, fall soccer, basketball, travel basketball, wrestling, judo, spring soccer, boys lacrosse, and girls lacrosse. These programs are only successful because of the over 100 volunteers that we have coaching and volunteering their time. All of our volunteers submit to a volunteer background investigation. We do coaching certifications through the National Youth Sports Coaches Association And in 2012, we implemented, a concussion training program for all of our volunteers. You see here, as we've talked about in a previous council meeting, our 7th and 8th grade boys football program won the Cape May County Junior Football League this past season, and I do believe that Solicitor Sandman's son is in that picture somewhere. We also implemented last summer a high school summer basketball league, which last year we had 4 local high schools, and this year we're going to be probably up to 6 or 8. The next area we're covering on our list is spring events. Here's a picture of a past Easter egg hunt, which we had in April, and we had over 300 participants in this year's event. The other event that's coming up is our Lower Township Community Day, Saturday, June 8th at the Recreation Center from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. In this event, we have a bike rodeo, a bike auction, we have Community Shredding Day that is run with the assistance of the Lower Township Public Works Department, which will be out in the front of Municipal Hall from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The next area we'd like to cover is summer programs. One of our biggest events is the Coombs Douglas Memorial Run. This is the 12th year of the consolidation of these two events. Last year we had over 450 registered participants for this event. The other events that we offer in the summertime are not exclusive to sport-specific camps and specialty camps. One of the biggest events that we have in our community, and that I believe that our entire community is proud of, and we get a lot of positive feedback from non-residents as well, is the Independence Day Festival, which is scheduled for July 3rd of this year. We had over 10,000 people enjoy the evening out on the Bayfront North Cape May last season, which included 60 vendors, 4 bands, 2 radio stations, entertainment for the entire family, rides, and beautiful views of fireworks, which I believe are the best fireworks in southern New Jersey. Something that we implemented last summer, 2012, is our free summer concert series. These are some pictures of last year's event. It was so successful that we are going to be offering 2 events this summer. Wednesday, July 10th, will be the B Street Band. The event is free. We are having it out on the grounds at the Delaware River and Bay Authority. The second summer concert that we're going to have is on Wednesday, July 24th, and that is the Sensational Soul Cruisers, which is a Cape May County favorite. We invite everyone to attend. It's a free event. The events both the bands start at 5:30 p.m. and play until about 8 p.m. each night. We try to finish up the calendar year strong. We have fall events. These are pictures from our annual Haunted Hayride or Haunted Trails event, which we don't do without the assistance of hundreds of volunteers. In the fall, we also have our Halloween Costume Parade, which is a part of Rotary's Pumpkin Festival. And then in the wintertime, we have both our Ferry Merry Christmas Party with the assistance of the Delaware River and Bay Authority, and also pictures here of our ever-popular New Year's Eve party, which is held at the Lower Township Rec Center on New Year's Eve. It's a family fun party, which is attended by over 500 people annually. I do appreciate your time. I'm going to pass the microphone over to my assistant, Jim Ridgway, who's just going to speak a little bit about some programs that we are working on in the future and some programs that we implemented in the past year. Thank you.
formally introduce the man of the hour tonight.
You need a Jim for the recording.
There are two events or activities that took place in the past year. One started at the Millman Center. We incorporated a computer training program for the seniors, which morphed into the high school this year. And it's just a great thing that started and grew extremely well. Secondly, we now have a surveillance camera system in our rec center, along with Mulligan Park, and our municipal pool will be getting cameras within the next week. Also, the rec department has set up an anti-drug program, and we are bringing in an assembly from California. We're close to finalizing. It's going to be in October, and after researching this for a couple months, it's arguably the #1 anti-drug program in the country. We'll be doing 2 assemblies there at the high school in the fall, and we also have put up some anti-drug banners, and the overall rec center itself has certainly been major league upgraded in the past 18 months. And I'd like to thank council for the support of this project, along with the support of the beautiful upgrades to all our parks across the township at this time. And I'd just like you to see this last piece before we introduce our #1 event.
Teach your children well, their father's help did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they fix, the one you long by. Don't you know that's them by? If they told you look right, so just look at them and sigh. And know they love you.
And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Steve Del Monte of Delmo Sports, who is one of the top promoters in the United States, and we're proud to say in his first endeavor in Lower Township, he has sold out, which is incredible. And the people that he has coming to this event are coming from California, and Lower Township is just going to get an incredible amount of publicity from the efforts of this gentleman, Stephen Del Monte.
Mayor, council, everyone here, thank you very much. In case you don't know, I'm from the Wildwoods. I'm not from anywhere else. I'm from the Wildwoods. My in-laws have a business in Lower Township. So this is a local event. And just so everyone knows, the people that I have with me in this event, the people in charge, the person in charge of making sure all of the swimmers get off of the boat safely, he's from Cape May. The person in charge of the bike course to make sure everything is perfect, he's from Irma. The person in charge of the run to make sure everything is perfect, he lives in Tranquility. This is a local production, and this is a production right now that has literally shaken up the endurance sports world, which is my world, which is really an insignificant part of the world, but so much so that we open up registration February 14th for this event. Now, for these types of events where people have to train a long time to do, generally you want to do something like that, you want to open up registration 10 months to 12 months in advance so people can sign up and then they can train and fulfill their goals. We weren't able to do that because this is an event that's never taken place. In fact, nothing like this takes place on the East Coast, period. It only happens on the West Coast one time a year. And so we knew we had something. So we opened up registration 4 months before the event. And it didn't take us 10 months or 12 months to sell out, which, by the way, a very small percentage of these events sell out. It only took us 10 weeks. 10 weeks and we sold out. We have 1,000 competitors coming from California, Arizona, Texas, Illinois, Ohio, Maine, from a lot of different places. What I do know is if that we had opened up registration in October, we would have 3,000 people in this event, coming from more than 16 states, probably 40 states. So we're very excited next year, right? So I'd like to thank everyone here that supported this event, and I'm talking from police to township manager, mayor, council. Your police department have been aces to deal with. We were just in a meeting last week. It was supposed to be 5 people. It was 35 people. I was one of 3 people without a gun. Everyone is excited about this event. I got an email stating I'm supposed to be on overtime that day, but I'm going to donate my services. I know how important this is to the community. And what you have here in Lower Township, what we have here in Southern Cape May County, no one else has. Nobody has. There's a reason 50% of all second homes in the state are here. And it's not because it's ugly. It's not. This is the most beautiful place in the state. And I'll take the Pepsi Challenge with anyone else as far as what we have to offer. We have everything to offer, and people have noticed. So thank you. Thank all of you here. Thank everyone that works for the township. Without these guys, this event doesn't happen. I'll tell you that right now. Without Mr. Simonson at part of the rec commission and looking at me and going, "Kid, why don't you check out that ferry? I think you need to look at it." And I thought I knew everything, right? So I looked at it and I said, "This is it. This is the spot." And then I came up with the brilliant plan, right, to make it happen. And it had to pass one person in order for it to move forward. My wife. She saw it. She said, "There's really nothing special about this because the original plan didn't incorporate jumping off the ferry." She said, "Well, you got these boats over here. Why don't you jump off one of them? Don't they do that in California?" And I said, "Yeah, they do." And we did a new plan. We presented it to Heath Gerke, Mike Porch. Believe it or not, they loved it. Jimmy thought I was nuts. He goes, "There's no way this is going to happen." But Norris, dream big, right? Have faith. Be a little bit crazy enough to actually see it through. And Scott Green, executive director of the DRBA, said, "Let's do it. Let's roll with it." And it happened. It's going to happen in 2 weeks. Please, if you can come out and see this event, the ferry is going to be parked just off the coast, and there's 1,000 people jumping off of it. You got to see it. It's insane. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be something you should be proud of, and we're going to do it annually. And this year alone, you can expect an economic impact in Lower Township to be anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. That's right. That's just one day this is going to happen. And so we want to do it every year. We look forward to seeing all of you there. I invite each and every one of you to be on the boat that morning. You have my personal invitation to be up in the captain's quarters and to watch this happen. And we will make that happen for you. So I just want to say thank you to every single person in Lower Township for supporting this and making this happen. So thank you to all.
Amen.
Stephen, I just want you to know that we're in favor of anything where you can get people to dive into our waters and swim to our shores. That's another hand to you.
You're welcome.
You get an opportunity to look on the website and see this guy out in his kayak giving the tour of the program, and it was pretty interesting. You know, took you out, showed you where they're going to jump, and brought you back to the shoreline. It was really good. Yeah, really impressive. Thank you.
Your passion is contagious. I think it's the excitement is brewing inside Town Hall and even in the community, and we're all looking forward to this. Whatever you need to make it a success, we'll be there for you. But you know, you've carried water on this thing, and thank you to our rec department and to all the people inside Town Hall that have helped you, and the police and everything. But you know, you're the guy.
Thanks for all you.
Okay, are you guys done with your presentation? By the way, your presentation was excellent. Thank you, sir. And I appreciate the humor at the end of it. That was cute. So, you know.
Really do it.
You're going to need those 1,000 people jumping off a perfectly good ferry.
But nobody's allowed to jump to the top like we did.
You know, you do a nice job. I think that a lot of improvements have been made inside the rec department in the past 18 months, as Jim said, and we're moving on up. I mean, there's much more that's planned, and we've talked, so.
Well, like we said at the very beginning of our presentation, we're not where we want to be, but we're getting there. And
Okay.
We do
All
appreciate
right.
your support, the manager's support, and the support of everybody who's involved in our department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good time.
We had a request at the, thank you, Steve. We had a request at the last meeting to take a look at the resolution regarding the open space, the sustainable funding. And there's a lot that you can say about this. I'm not sure where council wants to go with this. I mean, when you're talking about Christmas tree, the concept of preserving land. To this day, the Ponder Lodge parcel, which we preserved 7 years ago or so, I'll run into people who on this side will say, that's the greatest thing this township ever did. I love walking down there, et cetera, et cetera. And then I get, maybe later that day, somebody saying to me, the worst decision ever made was to give up that source of ratables. We could have cut the budget significantly had we built 250 luxury homes in there. Okay. I don't know where council's on this. I got an update today. I've been in touch with the League of Municipalities, and there's a move that the open space money went dry. We understand that. There's a move to create a sustainable source for this, and there were 3 options. And today, one of the options went through the Senate committee. And it's a long way off, but it probably will go to a referendum. It's possible it could be this year, and the people will have a chance to vote on it. There were 3 possible options that were discussed. The one option, which is dead in the water, has to do with a surcharge on water bills. Nobody's considering that. The second one was a continuation of perhaps going to bonding and putting it on the ballot for a certain number as far as putting money into the fund. And the one that they have decided on, at least for now it looks that way, is to take 1/5 of 1 cent of the state tax, sales tax, and dedicate that. That's the first step in a multi-step move to try and create a sustainable source of funding for preservation, open space funding. We can sit back. There's a variety of options we can do. We can look at this if council wishes to discuss this and send a resolution that supports the concept of a dedicated source of funding. And we can just say, yeah, we want to preserve ground. We'll reserve the right to support the specific way you do it once it's completed. We can say we don't want to move forward with this at all. I'm interested to see if anybody else on council has looked this over to the extent that they have formulated an opinion on it. I personally support the preservation and the concept, the idea of 1/5 of 1 cent of the sales tax, which would be 1/35 of the total amount. The idea is that the sales tax theoretically expands every year. And the expansion, you would be taking the expansion more or less and putting that into it as a dedicated source. The idea that we would be giving grandkids a bill 40 years ago, well, I thought about it, and you're right, you don't want to leave bills to grandkids, I got that. But 40 years from now, there'll be people walking inside Ponder Lodge. And those people who are walking there should pay their fair share of what it costs to preserve that. It's like when you construct a new building, a new school, you don't pay for it up front. The people who will be putting their kids into that school 15, 18 years from now should pay their fair share. They might not even have kids at this point, but they'll be using that. You don't pay for it all up front. And there's also the theoretical, which is that if they don't like it 15 years from now, they can reverse it. I mean, it's as simple as that. You could turn around 15 years from now if a referendum is that which creates it, a referendum can take it away. So yes, I'm willing to hear what council has to say, but I do support the concept of preserving the open space, and I think that if you're going to say you do support it, you got to have a funding stream. The one that seems to me to make the most sense, if you bond something, the only negative with bonding is you're giving the banks part of that money. Okay? Every time you take out a bond, every time you pay interest on it, you're paying the banks. You're paying the bond companies. If you use the sales tax, and it seems to be the most popular, what they're waiting for is the governor who has committed to supporting I'm not putting words in his mouth, I'm just saying this is what I've read, is that he supports the concept, but he has not committed to a specific funding stream. So that remains to be seen. So there's a good chance, and it's, I was a little surprised that today was an actual vote in a committee, and it is to move forward, but it has to go to another committee. I don't understand all that, and I'm not about to try and sort that out. But from what I was told by the League of Municipalities, it has a good chance of showing up perhaps as early as this November as a question on the ballot. Gentlemen? Tom?
I believe in preserving land. I don't trust the state. We have a very good program in the county. Ms. Pitts brought this up last time. I'm in full agreement with her on this. My problem is dedicated funding in this state is raided anytime there's a budget crisis. It's gone. So then what happens? We have to raise more. What are we losing? We had this argument about some other things in the past about the state. Where's the money coming from in the state? That sales tax is dedicated to certain items. If they take that percentage, even though it sounds like a small percentage, what programs are they cutting that we currently have? This county, a lot of the land's been purchased already. This township, what is it, 40% of this township is already open space? There's a large percentage. There's not too much left. We're actually having to look at programs, finally opening up the programs instead of purchasing land. Some other areas, they might not be as well prepared, but the state, most of that money, when I saw for other programs, they're looking to do parks up in North Jersey. We don't get anything down here. I just don't trust the state on saving the money for us.
Jimmy?
Well, from what I read, some of the land that they're going to preserve is low-lying areas that have been wiped out in storms, and getting rid of the construction that's there now. It helps preserve the water in the underground aquifers, which then comes down here. And I think that if they're going to dedicate some sales tax money to it, and they put it on the referendum where the voters get a chance to vote on it, that's the way to go. That's just my opinion.
Would you support a resolution?
Yes.
Okay, you're against it. I'm just getting a consensus to see if we move forward. Clint?
I'm on board with that also, with what Jimmy said. If that's the revenue source for the funding, I think that's probably going to be the most viable way for them to come through with funding. I do agree with open space, and I do also believe that with the open space, utilization of open space, which is being done in some of our areas with our wineries, and I think that's a big positive, where the areas have to be maintained. So if they're being leased and taken care of by other people, then maybe not, we won't be needing the entire amount of money to preserve and keep them going if they're using the private sector to basically keep the open space areas cleaned up, active, especially in farming areas. And I think it's just, this is probably going to be the area of funding that's, I think the people and the communities are actually going to go for. I would agree also with it.
Norris?
Mayor, it's easy to say that we're for open space and that we need a sustainable funding mechanism for it. We've made commitments as a state. My question is, we're being asked to make a statement that we're generally in favor of?
Generally, we're taking the umbrella approach. We're not specifically designating one of the formulas.
Right.
And there'll be, like, if for some reason, which it's dead in the water, But if they literally went back, no pun intended, to the water bills, we'd have the ability to say, no, we don't support that. And just to make sure you understand, if this was designated as such by the, at a referendum, they would not be allowed to divert the money from that to any other program. Okay, so that would be, I'm just saying, I share that, that's one of the questions I asked. And if they do it in a roundabout way, shame on us, but.
Just look at the COA money.
I know, I got it, but I'm just saying that this is, theoretically, this is what the process of why the referendum has value. I didn't mean to interrupt you, go ahead.
It's just that as long as it's a general thing, I believe that we have different levels of government. This legislature needs to look at the different mechanisms for how to do this and make a proposal, and I don't think it's our place to try to come up with a particular proposal or get into the debate of that. But we would be just generally saying that we believe open space is good and there should be a funding mechanism that's stipulated by the state.
Right.
It can't be touched.
The sample resolution, which everybody has a copy, basically says it is imperative a sustainable state funding source be established in order to sustain open space, farmland, historic preservation programs beyond the 2009 Bond Act. It does not specify any specific method. It only says that we support the concept of open space and ask you to tell us how you feel is the best method of doing so. But obviously that's not carte blanche. I mean, if they were to, and it's not going to happen. I've spoken to numerous people at the league, and the one method is dead in the water. I mean, I can tell you, a number of different reasons why the water bill option is not a good one, and it's not worth discussing. It's off the table. You're basically looking at a choice of two. There are a small segment that supports the reissuance of a bond, but it doesn't solve the problem that over time you have to keep coming back to do this. And again, like I said before, you end up paying not only the bond company, but you end up paying interest on the money that you borrowed. So not all the money ends up inside the program. Where if you dedicate a specific 1/5 of 1%, which comes out to 1/35, it's dedicated, it's sustainable. So, are you up for? Okay. Okay, so I would ask that we would prepare this resolution, and you can look it over, solicitor, and we'll put it on for the next agenda. Okay. Move down to the consent agenda. Council has any comments on the consent agenda? Questions, issues? Speak now. Okay. Open up the public comment on the consent agenda. If you have a question, raise your hand. Yes, sir.
Ed Butler from the Vos. I have a question on 2013-143, the capital budget amendment.
Yes.
Exactly what is the amendment?
Well, no, it's not, when we went through this back in February, and at the back of the book, there was this capital, when we did the budget, there was that capital program in the back, which we said is not going to be the capital program. This is the amendment to it.
That was a $3 million that was on there at that time that...
Yeah, that Tom objected to, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that was, and then we said it wasn't going to be that program.
He was opposed to and brought up with a budget, he accepted 2.9, but this capital budget, now all of a sudden, is that going to be piecemeal? Is it still $3 million?
Those items are all not in this.
They're not. The items that were under discussion were not in here. These are items, we started, in all honesty, we did something differently this time, and each of the council people had the opportunity to go through this and to question our department heads, and we started, and we found ways. We started at 1.6 million, and through the cooperation of council and the department heads going back in and looking at different ways, we reduced that by $500,000. Now, it's, in some instances, it was, well, maybe it's not the time to buy this. In other instances, instead of replacing something, we're moving to fixing something. So the end of it is, what I'm trying to say is that we curry-combed this thing. We went through this thing from top to bottom. It's reduced from 1.6 to 1.1, is what we're saying.
All right.
Will there be more in the future? There could be.
I don't want to jump ahead, but when you get down to the ordinance, so you're looking at 1.130.
Yes.
1.130 on that.
1,130,000, okay.
Yeah, now with that capital budget, there's a big increase, but you're not going to come back later on and say, okay, now next meeting after that, because that's a bond issue.
Right.
That's a bond issue. Every time you get into this capital budget, you're going to issue a bond. It's going to cost the taxpayers more money each time.
Each time we issue a bond. We're not, it won't be for, if there is, it probably won't be till later this year.
Well, whatever it's going to be the same thing, because you're going to wind up, have to go to the bond issue, pay interest on it. It comes down to where the taxpayer of this community is paying for this capital budget along the line and keeps increasing it. Now,
wait, I'm not sure I'm totally understanding what you're saying.
Well, maybe I'm not totally sure what I'm talking about. But
I'm not going to say that.
You know,
you're asking.
The whole thing is costing more and more for the taxpayer. We have enough capital debt now.
Well, you have capital. You have capital every year. Wait a second. Pull time out. There's things in here like, for instance, a truck for the trash recycling. There's things in here that we have a schedule in. We have a schedule to replace foreign equipment and to bring in new equipment. We can do zero, but then you're going to be screaming, holy heck, when you find out that you're not getting your recycles picked up. I mean, there's things in here that are on a schedule that we replace a certain amount every year. I have to dig it out, Mike, you can look at it while I'm doing this. The point is, there's no fluff in there. There's nothing in there, I can guarantee you, that we haven't gone through and looked at. And like I told you, we started at 1.6, we're down to 1.1 on this thing. We removed 500,000. Now, that's pretty darn good. And we have been very stingy in what we have bonded. And Lauren told you that at the budget hearings, and Leon. So we're well within the parameters of what we said, but you have to replace things. If you have to buy police cars or police. There are certain things that you can't put a car on there. You can put a van or whatever.
Four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive. I know we have. It's 1.1, and I think one of them is the trash truck, which is.
Yeah, we have new public works equipment. We have new police equipment. The council has went item for item on a proposed capital budget and trimmed in areas we could. As the mayor said, there's one facility in the recreation department where it was going to be like a $75,000.
I got this.
You got the list?
Yeah, like you got a rear loading refuse truck. Well, that's $450,000. I don't get discounts on it. That's the price that we're getting for this truck. All right. You have generators. They have a screening machine which they need down at Public Works. That's $138,000. Bulletproof vests. There's a lot of different things on here that we have to get. You have an all-wheel drive truck with plow, skid loader, dump truck, $125,000. You know, it's all things that we've been through, and we feel there was a lot more on there. I'm glad we did go through it, but we put it down to where we're comfortable.
Well, the bottom line, like I'm saying, this is a credit card situation where you're just putting on that. It's going to repeat back to the people that's going to pay.
It's how government operates, Ed, and I explained one of the reasons why. We can pay cash for that $450,000 truck, which has a life expectancy of maybe 15 years. And then the guy that moves into this town next year is benefiting from us paying cash for that truck. It is something, it's a capital program to make sure that it's fair to everybody, that they pay for the use of that thing throughout its life expectancy.
Well, as long as if you pay cash for something, you're not going to wind up paying interest on top of it. It all comes down to where it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money on this.
All right, thank you, Ed.
You know, so
Okay.
that's why I'm questioning right now as far as the capital
Right.
budget.
Okay.
As Mr. Conrad, yeah, sorry, Tom.
It's okay.
As he said before, this capital budget thing made its way out of line. It's just getting worse.
I disagree with you on that. I think we've done an excellent job on it. I agree.
I disagree.
You have your opinion on it, Ed, I've got mine. I think we've been good soldiers on the
Back
capital.
and forth so that everybody in the township understands that.
I got you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address council? Close the public portion.
Membership application to the New Jersey Firemen's Association for Joshua Senbernat from the Village Fire Company. Approval of minutes, May 6, 2013. Resolution 2013-141 through Resolution 2013-154. Ordinance number 2013-09. An ordinance of the Township of Lower, amending and restating Chapter 351, Flood Damage Prevention. This is the introduction of this ordinance. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 3rd. Copies of these ordinances will be available starting tomorrow morning. Ordinance number 2013-10. A bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of various capital equipment and the completion of various capital improvements in and for the Township of Lower, County of Cape May, State of New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $1,139,000. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes to the Township of Lower, County of Cape May, State of New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of $1,080,000, making certain determinations and covenants, and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. This is the introduction of ordinance 2013-10. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 3rd, and this ordinance will be available to the public tomorrow morning.
Give me a second. You need water?
Motion to approve consent agenda as written.
Second. Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Regular agenda?
Resolution number 2013-155, authorizing the payment of vouchers to Douglas Landscaping in the amount of $6,392.50.
Okay, do I have any council comments on it? Any public comments on it? Okay. Close the public portion. Do I have a motion and a second? I move.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas?
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Resolution number 2013-156, authorizing the payment of vouchers. This is to Lower Township Rescue in the amount of $35,000.
Okay, any council comments on this resolution? Any public comment on the resolution? Close the public portion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Abstain.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Move down now to administrative reports. Comments, question, council comments, Councilman Conrad.
Real quick, we didn't cover it, and we were going to talk about it. June 2nd, triathlon. Roads are going to be closed throughout this township, including the Seashore Bridge. We need to get the word out early about this. The bridge should be opening up again about 10:30 from what the plans are. But roads will be closed for this triathlon. It's going to be a wonderful event. I think it's going to bring a lot into the township and bring us news. But it's going to be a little bit inconvenient that morning. We have a few other events. We have a 5K run at Naval Air Station. And I don't know what else you have. That's in the morning also. That's June 8th, though. June 8th, which we can announce again. But there's a lot of things happening in this township, and we should be proud of it.
Right.
I think all in all, it's not going to be that much of an inconvenience. Most of the people are going to know that there's going to be a big event. There'll be signs up, and they'll be over the West Cape May Bridge, through Bats Lane, in and around. For what it's going to bring to the township, I think it's going to be a great event. And I'm looking forward to watching all those people jump off the ferry.
You'll be in the water looking up at them.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But, yeah, it looks like, as far as the next meeting, that's the day after that triathlon. Will have to be a family man first, and I'll be absent from here because Wildwood Catholic graduates class of 2013, and I plan on listening to my son's valedictorian speech firsthand.
Excused. Takes after mom.
I also have been following this triathlon, and it's been pretty interesting seeing on Facebook, there's a lot of local people actually preparing for this. I see different people saying they're doing the bikes, they're swimming, and it's really amazing to see the towns coming, and a lot of our own people are getting involved with this. But I've been watching the website, and it's shown where the immediate response of people signing up for that, and then the numbers are going down quickly for the amount of applicants still available to get on the program. But it was really interesting watching, and Steve's really doing a great job along with our rec department. And I heard some discussion amongst the police department too. It sounds like everybody's got this down packed. They're getting together, and everybody really wants to be involved. Also, on another thing on the bay front, it's been actually a very good start of the fishing season. Been seeing a lot of strikers coming up on the beach front, and there's a lot of people out on the beach. And summer's here. It's getting ready to start again. So, welcome people into town.
Mayor, I cede my time to you. I said my piece today with the Fishing Creek School.
I like to listen to you. You do a good job up here. We got a few odds and ends coming up. I'm looking forward to that too. That'll be a fun day. I hope that people in this township commit to it too. I'd like to see every resident come out and support this. I mean, it's what a bonanza. This Steve has turned out to be coming here and helping us with this, and it would just be awesome to have the place packed down there, especially with Lower Township residents. And enjoying the day and the exposure that the town will get, far beyond the reaches of Cape May County for something like this. And that's important to everything we're doing. So, see you out there. All right, so here we go. Jeans for Troops. We did this last year. It's $5 to help our troops find jobs, go to college, get health care, find housing, and it's basically you wear jeans. Eileen, is this to go to work that day in jeans or something? You pay $5. Eileen's, if you want to donate to this, Eileen is collecting inside Town Hall. It helps those guys returning home from the war to get adjusted in a variety of ways. So we got that one. We have the Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency meeting at Town Hall. Steve Shefts is doing this one. This is Thursday, May 30th, right, Steve, at 1 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Representatives will be there to help with applications for up to a $100,000 loan with 0% interest, 10-year repayment for connecting. $100,000, is that the right number?
10,000. 10,000.
Okay. Okay, we'll go with 10,000. $10,000 loan with 0% interest. 10,000. You hear that? Don't come in here looking for 100. We don't have it. Okay, so Community Day is June 8th. Put that in the book too. 9 to 12 is shredding at Town Hall. 11 to 1 is the bike rodeo at the rec center. And 1 to 2 is the bike auction in the rec center. And I think as far as the Cape Triathlon, I think we had talked about doing maybe a robocall to inform everybody about that day and to give them a heads up on the traffic situation.
Jonathan Hoffman, the residents are already notified personally because they're the only ones who will be able to use that.
Right.
For certain areas, but it's going to be only for a short period of time in certain areas. But the bridge is a big one because I know people don't even like going around the block for a detour.
Okay. And I want to say thanks to the Elks Lodge, Greater Cape May Elks Lodge up here in the village yesterday. They hosted a luncheon for all veterans, and it was really sweet. There was I don't know, maybe 30, 40 veterans, local veterans with a lot of stories, and they were treated royally by the Elks yesterday, and I was invited to attend, and I was very happy to see that. We have some real heroes in this town, and you just don't know it sometimes. You know, you see them every day, and then you find out what they went through for this country, and we need to get that out there a little bit more and identify these people, let our residents know who they are. Okay, I think that's about it. Anything else, Jewel? We all right?
Mike, one other thing.
Go ahead.
When you speak of Dream and Vision Family Promise Building.
Yes.
That opened up this week. We had the opportunity to attend the grand opening, and it's really, really an asset to our community for the help for the people. And the group, it was a vision. It was a dream and a vision, and they pulled it off. And you know, a lot of people supported this, and a lot of people came and helped. And you could see from the crowd that showed up for the opening.
When they put some of the kids and they tell their stories about being in that program, I don't care, it melts your heart. And Lori Johnson, Kathleen, I don't remember her last name, but they do a fantastic job over there. Thank you for reminding us. All right, we'll open it up, call to the public. Anybody wishes? Frank?
Frank Sirocco to Billis. I just want to say this. Last Wednesday, I was in my kitchen, and I went to my sliding door, and around the back of my garage, which comes into my driveway that I can see, a raccoon. Now, it's in the daytime, and when you see a raccoon in the daytime, you got a problem. So I was talking to my daughter-in-law on the phone, and I said, look, wait a minute, I got to leave. I got to make a call. So I called, and I called 911. Well, I was reprimanded for calling 911. They said I should have called animal control. But to me, that was an emergency. But anyway, to make a long story short, she said, I'll call animal control for you. In a matter of minutes, Don Montgomery was at my front door. And right before he got there, this raccoon had come around the other side of the house and came up on my front steps and was looking in my door. Well, trying to frighten this thing is forget it. It's not moving. Finally, it just by itself went down the steps and came, and that's right after that happened was when Don came to the front door. Very professional. Went across the street. You know the Golden Tinskys that live across the street. It was in his yard.
Okay.
In that clump of ivy he's got in the center. Went in that thing there, and I'm thinking to myself, if he gets bit, boy, oh boy, there's going to be something terrible. Well, make a long story short, like I said, he got this thing and put it in his truck. When it got in the truck, it just collapsed and shivered. He said, this thing is definitely sick. So there was a professional job done by this man, and I know that people would call, write in to spout off about this, that, the other, about animal control. Nothing can be said about this man in a negative tone. He really did a good job.
Thank you for sharing that. We certainly will pass the information on.
Thank you.
I believe we were notified that they had a baiting program. Wasn't anybody remember?
Rabies.
The county did. Yeah.
Because this is the first time I've ever seen one,
Right.
especially in my yard.
Does anybody else wish to address council? Betty?
Betty Summers from the Billis. I wasn't going to get up, but I have to say the same thing that gentleman said. I called 911 for the same thing, but mine was an animal on my lawn, and we couldn't figure out what it was because there was a can there. And the man came in a couple of minutes, and the lady was real nice. I said, I don't know if it's an emergency or not, but she sent the gentleman right away. It was a cat that had his head stuck in a can of corn. And I was there the night before, but I didn't go outside. They said, there's an animal on your lawn, but I didn't go out. Anyhow, the man came, he shook the cat out. He couldn't have been nicer. He picked it up. He said, I'm going to take it back. Somebody may call, they may have lost it. So the man should be commended about it. He was really, really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll pass that on to Steve had his hand up first.
Thank you. I would like to, Steve Shepard from Town Bank, I'd like to thank Mayor and Council. I appreciate if some of you made that meeting on May 30th, Thursday at 1 o'clock, right here in the hall. Just so you're aware, it's only 15 days since we announced that Town Bank can hook up to water. Okay, all permits was given. We have 2,200 homes that can connect. That's a lot. To show you the interest, we have a very large stack of applications for the state program. I think we're down to 4. Unfortunately, I've got 100 more today to turn over. So there is a great amount of interest in this program, because where else can you get a program that covers everything? The connection fee, the plumber, the permit, and the application itself. And have those kinds of figures, you know, $10,000, 0% interest. Also, if your pipes need to be replaced under the house, would include that too. But nothing in the house. You can't put in a new bathroom or something. But just not to let you know, and I do thank you all.
Thank you. Wayne?
Wayne Weissman, Beechwood Ave, Village. Since this is a night of all thank yous, I'd like to say thank you to everyone that was involved. Well, at 4th and Beechwood, it had to be restructured there. It was an accident waiting to happen along there, because they were putting the water pipes in, but it was a problem there before that. The water laying there, it dug away at the streets. There was quite a few flat tires, and also there's school buses that stopped there every morning. But it was a storm sewer that needed to be put in, and it was done, and the street was restructured, and I'd like to thank everybody who was involved, especially Eileen. She made a lot of phone calls about that. Great job by all. Mr. Ball, I don't have to tell you how lucky you are to have a lady like that working for you. And all of you.
Best part is she patched it after hours for overtime. She was concrete.
Yeah, because she drives down there all the time. She knows. But thanks to all.
Came out nice, didn't it? Good job.
I'll be glad when our street's done, we get the water. I'm looking forward to city water myself.
Right. And we did get that grant that was in there today for we talked about it briefly, but it was on the agenda tonight for Clubhouse Road for DOT grant.
Yeah, good thing.
Mayor, Council, Clubhouse Road has started. Preliminary construction, testing. We're waiting for DOT approval of the road plan. The road designer, engineer in-house is doing that. But I wanted to make 2 points about the triathlon.
Go ahead.
As Steve said, that he was one of 3 that didn't have a gun on that day. Well, because of the recent incidents in Boston and what have you, we had about 30 different law enforcement agencies involved to make sure we provide the security and safety for all the visitors with this major event, which is going to be, we want it to go down without any issues, and I can assure you that we have everything in place.
Okay.
The other thing is for the residents to know that all the police, all the public works, any and all of our employees, we will be reimbursed by the promoter, Mr. Del Monte, for all our services. So just want to let taxpayers know you're not picking up the tab for this, but you're going to get to enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry?
I had a meeting a couple weeks ago, Walter Miller, 1518 Main Street, Dulles, New Jersey. Had a meeting with Mike and Lieutenant Levy. Number one, I'd like to thank the Lower Township Police Department for doing an excellent job maintaining the traffic on Main Street.
Okay.
I'd like to thank you for all the work you've done with Wawa. My question is, the laws that we make here, are they for everybody? I'm tired of these corporations like Wawa coming in. You put in the paper here on March 6th about no deliveries of boxes and crates after 10 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired of calling Wawa. I'm tired of asking help. These people come, they think they can do anything they want. They don't have to abide by the laws that we make, that we have to abide by. I've had meetings with you. You sat down with Wawa, representatives from Wawa. I'm tired of getting up. My wife works hard. She can't sleep till 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday when she's off. Getting tired of it, Mike. Getting tired of asking for help. I know you're doing what you can do, but I'm tired of corporations coming in this town and dictating what laws they're going to abide by and what laws they're not going to abide by. Now, I'm asking for help here.
We'll get back into it with you. We'll set another one up, but I'm going to be honest with you. At some point, we'll do what we can, but it's a tough situation, and you might.
It's a law. We abide by our laws.
Well, we can't station a lifeguard out there. That's the only problem you have, is that there probably in the long run, somewhere along the line, there has to be a sound barrier fence, perhaps.
We've talked about that, Mike. They asked them to put up an 8-foot board-on-board fence like they did at CVS.
And we may have to go back in and get our solicitor to twist arms on that, because it's, when you have, like, say, through the center city, Philadelphia, you have the noise panels along the side of I-95 or something like that. I mean, the back of your house literally is 20 feet, 30 feet from...
Exactly. I've been in 39 years, Mike, paying taxes, so my ratables should count just as much as theirs.
I understand that. It's just a tough situation because people come in...
No, it's a tough situation for me. Living in my house for a week, Mike.
I don't envy you.
I'm not asking for anything that you people there would demand.
Well, the end result of it is we can't station somebody there, and 99% of the time, we have to rely on you to call. By the time the call comes through, if you call, and if there's somebody there, usually by the time the police gets there, they're gone. And all I'm saying is that in the long run, the solution has to be something, a barrier of some sort between there, in conjunction with enforcement by Wawa of not allowing people to make deliveries at that time. You run in the summer, and the truck driver that comes from out of the area that doesn't know the situation, he pulls in, and throws the thing open, he backs up, and it beeps, and all these kinds of things. And you just have so much going on there, it's hard. I said that they shouldn't even allow people around the back at that time. Well, we got to get in touch with them. So why don't we set something up, and in the meantime, I'm going to ask our solicitor to be involved with this time.
I appreciate it very much.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, right up here. It's been going on since it was built in a lot of ways. And I understand where they're at, but I also understand an individual and the people on Main Street's right to have some kind of peace and quiet. Does anybody else wish to address council? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'd like to make a comment about the Recreation Department. I'd like to first of all say...
Your name for the record, please.
Robert Rizzo, Mickles Run. The Rec Department did one fine job with this program.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd like to ask, Mitch gave a lot of dates and places and times. I couldn't write them down fast enough. Is there some way that council can make available to, at the next council meeting what all these dates and times and places are? I think not only me, but members of the public would like to know about all these states.
Well, if you go to the rec department on our website, which I know Lorraine will go, you won't go. But,
yes, she will.
You can link on to the rec department, and then you can pick up all this information there. But we'll post something. We should probably post it here inside Town Hall at the door so that when you come in, you can see it.
Absolutely.
Good point. Thank you.
I think we need it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wish to address council? Close the public portion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.